This video is going to be slightly different. It's not going to be a repair or a modification. It is, I need assistance finding the impossible gear, as it's now called. This guy right here. This is the one I tried to do the gear casting video out of. And what I'm going to do is, these are two new houses for 2022. They are brand new. I just took them out of the box because the box is rattled. And that's because some of the, like, these guys broke off or fell off, and then the pumpkin came off. I glued them, excuse me, I glued them back on. They work fine. So there's the lights for that one. This one uses a bulb, which, well, it's over here. Like that, because it still has the 120 volt bulb. There's the off on. So they are brand new. Will come in their factory boxes with their factory foam and all the paperwork that comes with them, of course. So what I'm doing is, whoever can find me this gear, I will send you whichever one of the two houses you want, as long as you're in the U.S. If you're internationally, I'll find something else to get back to you if it's the right gear. So I'm not asking you to buy me the gear. I'm not asking you to send me a stack of gears. All I'm asking is if you find somebody that sells the gear, makes the gear, the manufacturer of the gear, the part number of the gear that I can locate, and it is the correct gear, and you're in the U.S., I'll send you whichever of the two houses you prefer. And if you're outside the U.S., we'll work something out, because the shipping to ship these houses is going to be astronomical. But we'll figure something else out. So if you haven't seen these yet on any of the reviews, I'm going to turn off the lights real quick so you can get an idea what they look like in the low light. So there you go. This one, of course, overpowers this one because this is just an incandescent bulb inside of it. And this has all these LEDs, which will usually swamp out the camera. So, and if you're into the mummy theme, Egypt, whatever, this would probably fit better in your village. If you're into a general theme, a pumpkin patch, maybe a carnival, or just spooky stuff in general, or you're like the lights, this one might work better. Personal preference, whatever you want to do. But going back to this, I'm going to turn on the lights again. Click. So I'm going to give you the measurements in millimeters, and I'm going to do them right here on the camera with the micrometer. Then I'm going to leave the measurements in the description, and I'll try and take a high def picture of the gear and then superimpose the measurements onto it at the end of the video. I'm going to go turn on the other light. Oh. Now these are not donated houses. These are houses that I physically bought to do this with. So I do not, I'm not sponsored, so it's not like I'm giving away free stuff. So here's the micrometer, and it's going to be in metric because 99.9% of all the gears out there are metric. So I'm setting it to millimeters, and I'm going to do all the measurements here, and then I'm going to put them in the description, and I'm also going to try and take a nice picture of this gear in multiple angles and superimpose the measurements. So the big gear, the piece that always breaks, the fine tooth section, going from see if I can get it into there. So going from a point on one end to the flats on the other, it is 20.87, 20.88. Of course, it's greasy since I took it out of my other house. So 20.87 millimeter. And I said greasy because I have that non-stick film on it. And then if you see going from the flats, meaning that the two teeth are touching on each side, the top gear is 13.5. If we go from point, where I'm setting the gear on the point, it's 13.85. I've seen gear companies online measure in both directions, from point to point and flat to point and flat to flat, depending on how many teeth there are. So I'm going to give you every single measurement. All right, the thickness of the gear, just the gear, not counting the protrusion on the back, is 6.38 millimeter. If we count the protrusion on the back, 6.75. protrusion you should be able to hopefully see right there. Move it over so the house isn't blending in. It sticks out. So the hole, where the shaft goes through, you can try and measure it this way, or I'm just going to measure the shaft. Shaft is 2.45, so this is probably classified as a 2.5 millimeter hole. Let's see if I can get them in there. Okay, it's 2.53, so it's probably 2.5. And I think those are all the measurements you need for this impossible gear. Now, I have called Lemax, so if any of you people have Lemax connections that watch my videos, they're not very nice to me. They don't like me working on their products. That's fine. That's their company policy. If you get these new pieces, like this one in the box, surprisingly this one didn't, probably because it's a light. This one comes with a piece of paper that says if you modify this or any fashion that you lose your ability to use it. So all these new pieces come with that have pulsating lights or LEDs. The incandescent ones don't come with that piece of paper. So if you have any new ones or ones from last year, look, it's a strip of paper. It's in there now, and you're welcome, because according to Lemax, I'm one of the reasons they did that. So that's what they told me once before. But I have reached out to Lemax, and besides telling me not to contact them again, they basically told me to deal with it, to replace the product, not repair the product, because these products are not designed to be repaired, and that any parts that are used are proprietary to them, and they will not disclose where, how, or when the pieces are made, manufactured, etc. So, as you know, I buy lots of gear kits like this from Amazon, eBay, directly from sellers in China, and I have bought tens, I don't mean hundreds, but tens of gear kits. And the reason I say tens is most gear kits have between 50 and 500 gears in them. So I'm not going to buy hundreds of gear kits, because then I'd have thousands of gears that I'll probably never use. And I have not yet come across a single step gear that looks like this. The manufacturers I've contacted that can manufacture hobby gears, and I mentioned this in the gear casting video, and Carousel, the most recent one that I worked on, they can't do the teeth in a 20 millimeter circle. They can do it at 24, which of course 24 is too big, and it won't work. So you can be a little bit off of the measurements. So if I said this is 20.8 and you find one as 20.77, it probably will work, and I'll try it. So how it's basically going to work again is, if you can find me a place that has this gear, and I buy the gear, and the gear works, I will then send you one of the two houses, or if you're outside the country, we'll email and we'll figure something else out, like a gift card for Amazon or something. We'll see what we can do. So I will, again, I'll try and take a good picture, get you the measurements that you saw me do on the caliper, wherever the heck I put it, over there, in metric, and you can refer back to the video and pause if you want to read the screen. I wasn't paying much attention. Hopefully the light wasn't glaring off the screen where you couldn't see it. But nonetheless, I'm going to give you the measurements, and if you can help me out, that'd be great. You saw my gear casting videos. I've had lots of suggestions on other ways to cast this gear to maybe make it less brittle, or to get better definition on those little teeth. I am going to try those. I need to acquire the material to do so, and we'll go from there. So there might be a second gear casting attempt video in the future. At the moment, you saw how I did the carousel, where I found a gear like this. Of course, this is way oversized. It's just an exaggeration. And that I ground this off, sanded it down, drilled a hole, set this in there. That's a lot of work. It did work. It should continue to work for a long period of time to come, until something breaks these teeth again. So I'd like to find a source of supply so I can tell people where to get them, or I might just buy a ton of them and then send them to people if and when they may need one. I've done that many a times when I've bought specialty gears for different animated houses. So, but that's pretty much it on this video. It is a call for help, basically. I just need help finding or locating the impossible gear. Every other gear in all the Lemax houses that I've needed, I have been able to find, except for that one. So I have found the outer gear with smaller teeth in the middle. I have found the inner teeth, but the outer gear is huge, kind of like this size. I have not found this exact size or within 1/10 of a millimeter or 1/20th of a millimeter. So anyway, thanks for watching. You can email any links to try and purchase this gear to the RandomJChannel at gmail.com. Of course, in the description below, it is there. You can send a Facebook Messenger message. You can post a link on the Facebook page. You can comment on this video. Either any way. I read all the comments. So does the other guy that's using my cereal tastings. And we will try and find this gear and actually repair these with the OEM parts. And in some cases, if I get one that's sent in that has a broken gear and I find a whole bunch of these and I buy a bunch of them, like literally like a couple hundred of them, I'll probably fix it and send it back with a spare one. Because a lot of the rides, like the Ghost Around, the Roundup, the Zombie Airplane Ride, and some of the older carousels, use this gear. And if you stop that ride, also the Octo Squeeze, if you stop that ride in the middle of moving and the belt doesn't slip, this is the gear that breaks. It's not the itty bitty gear like on most houses, the little 10-tooth that snaps. It's that guy. And that's because of the amount of torque that is transferred from the little to the big gear to make everything spin. When you stop it, you're stopping this big gear. The next weakest link going in the reverse direction is the bigger gear, which is thin. So just to give you an idea why this one always breaks. It usually breaks due to something stopping the moving mechanism that is a high torque or high mass rotating piece. Carousel, Octo Squeeze, Roundup, especially the Roundup, because not only does it spin, it lifts. And the lifting gear, same gear. So it has a lot of stress transfer from the drive mechanism, which is the small tooth gear, to the workhorse mechanism, which is the large tooth gear. So a little bit of why this one breaks the most out of the large gears. And then the reason the little one breaks the most out of the small gears, it is the first gear in line off of the motor's drive, and it has to transfer all of its energy. And on a standard gearbox, it is the weakest link. Same reason this is the weakest link if you stop it in reverse. So anyway, thanks for watching. Until the next repair video or cereal tasting or modification, have a good one.